my new characters on top of my old character.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Lorna's story.
That wasn't recorded, was it?
Yes, it was.
Oh.
This time we are picking up as Lorna is still in Augur City. You've just witnessed the coronation of a new king.
Normal Friday.
Normal Friday, yes. The new king, Ease Demeric of Aurelia, now is the new royalty, the new seat of the throne. And so there is lots of celebration occurring. We're going to fast forward to the next day as you're back at Cavi's in the morning, as the coronation took literally all day. The King's Moot went from when you arrived in the morning to when he emerged victorious? Elected?
Over everybody else, I guess.
Over
It's
everybody
weird
else.
that they have an elected king.
Well, when there's no heir to the previous king, this is what happens.
They should have let Tier cover the watching and the waiting for the hours part and just gone to the library. Precious hours wasted.
I'm sorry you feel that way. You can complain to your clients when you have the chance. However, many of the noble families have made their way out of Augur City that very same night, back to their own businesses, back to their families, back to their homes all over the world. Many of them still remain in Augur City, including your clients, who returned with you back to Cavi's after everything. And so, it is the next morning. You awaken, having had a long rest. What do you do, Lorna?
I would check to see if my clients needed something specific from me today, and if they didn't, I'm gonna go to the fucking library.
Okay, you try and
Library.
you go and find Callowin and Dorset. They are not holed up in their rooms anymore.
Yeah, they're not potential king in the making, so he's probably less of a target now.
You find them down on the main floor, consuming breakfast and having a conversation with another noble family. And you see Tier is nearby them, not at the same table, but at the table right next to them, and he is eating breakfast as well. And when he looks up at you, he just nods.
Up, nod back.
Sup, nod. Yeah.
Do I recognize the family that is with Callowin?
Roll history.
Okay. Natural 20. Off to a good start.
Roll me a D100.
Oh. I can't wait
Let's
for the
see
answer to
who-
be no.
Yeah.
81.
You see that the nobles that they are at the table with are tieflings. They are kind of pale orange in color. They have long, almost blonde hair. There's two of them at the table with them. A tall, well, they're both women. One of them has much longer hair than the other, and the other one seems to be more quiet. The one on the right-hand side is wearing full plate armor, which is unusual for a noble, but the armor is extremely polished. It looks immaculately made. It screams of money, but even as you approach, you can tell it's mithril. So it wouldn't show signs of battle anyway. The woman next to her has shorter platinum hair, and they are having a conversation with Callowin and Dorset. And Callowin turns as you're approaching and says, "Hi, good morning. It is good to see you this morning."
Good morning, my lord.
Have you a request for us or something?
Do I have a request for you?
You did such good work for us over these last week. I thought maybe I could do you a favor.
Could you give me a bit of time to think about it?
We'll be here all day.
Quite no. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does it have to be within the realms of, like, possible?
Yes.
Okay, that does narrow it down a little bit. Okay. Did I recognize these this tiefling family, or are they just they're clearly noble?
With a natural 20 of a 27 history, yes, you recognize them as Pomona and Ursula Nadajdi. A
What?
pair of nobles well known around Aurelia for being impactful in the jewelry and trade industry.
Mm-hmm. I really want to introduce myself, but I don't know if it's my place. I guess it would be better not to ignore them, so I would look at both of them and I would give my well-trained nobleman's greeting, like the bow curtsy type deal, and say, "Good morning to both of you."
The one who's not armored, the shorter one with longer hair, tips her head and says, "Good morning. 'Tis a pleasure." And
Do
the
I
one
know
in
which
the
one's
armor
which?
says, "Yes, it's nice to see you. And who might you be?"
My name is Lorna Halloweth, and I was employed by Lord Callowan here to get him here safely.
The one in armor says, "Looks like you've done a fine job
He's in one piece.
so far. Though if he keeps talking to us like this, that might not be the same for much longer."
Uh, insight check.
Yeah, roll insight.
Is she saying that with any air of humor?
That's what your insight check is
Uh,
for.
14.
Yeah, she's kidding.
Oh, okay. I think Lorna has just a moment where she was like, but then she reads into it that she's. Which do I know which one is which?
No. Well, I mean, yeah, you recognize Ursula's the one in the armor. Pomona is the one who is not.
Huh? Do I know anything about their family other than that? Just I don't know who the head of family is.
You know that Pomona is considered the representative.
Okay. And I know they're a really in nobility, so I don't have too much to do with them.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he shapes up then, is how I reply to Pomona.
Uh,
With my own air of humor, I don't want Alwyn to
Pomo-
think I'm dissing him.
Pomona smirks and says, "Eloquently put."
I would look at Tier then and say, "Do you have appetite for a little adventure today?"
Aye. Always. What do you have in mind?
I wanted to have a very exciting trip to the library.
You see, he rolls his eyes and he says,
Yeah.
"Right. Okay. And you want me to come with you?"
It's a little companionship. I'd make the time go faster.
Okay. Just let me finish my bagel.
Of course. She'll turn actually to Calwyn and lean lightly against the table and say, "I'm going to be doing a bit of research today. Do you have any need for that?"
Lord Callowan looks at you and says, "I admit to not be too educated on the history of the Demeric clan, so if you could maybe look into their family histories a little, I'd be grateful."
Of course. Actually, I'm very fascinated as well. She'll actually look at the two Nadajdis now and say, "Was he your vote?"
Um, Ursula Nadajdi looks at you, and she frowns.
Hmm.
And Pomona Nadajdi says, "No."
Ah, do you think, regardless, he will do a good job?
"I'm certain he will do fine. I just disagree with his policies on tax embargoes for import and export."
Well, knowing what I do about your family, that makes perfect sense to me. You have to protect your own interests.
Of course. Tread carefully. You don't ever know what you might find.
About the Demerics or you?
I leave that for your interpretation.
Can I just do a general insight check on her?
On Pomona, yes, go
Yes.
ahead.
Another 14.
Hard to read.
Hmm.
Seems like the sort of person who holds more power than is obvious.
Mm. And the fully armored one, do I get a sense that they're martial pure, or are they religiously inclined, like a cleric?
There's a big glaring religious symbol in the middle of their
Uh-huh.
full plate. Um, so you're pretty sure this is
What is it?
likely divine inspired. Uh, it is a symbol of Nier, the god of
Near.
storms.
Oh. Hmm. Okay. Do I know, you said that they're involved in trade and jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that warrant? I don't know the kind of scale of armor that one of them might be wearing.
Roll a straight intelligence check.
Okay. Terrible. I don't know much
A
about that.
9, you don't know.
Hmm.
That maybe confuses you.
It does confuse me. I'm confused. Um, the armored one doesn't seem to like me very much either, just by first impressions alone. So, uh, Lorna will file away that as well as researching the Demeric. She's going to be looking up the Nadajis. And she looks to Tier and she says, well, shall we?
Lead the way.
He'll do another very proper uh motion of farewell to the nobleman, the table of nobles, and
They
then depart with the air.
politely dismiss you and then resume their conversation.
Hmm. What do they talk about when I leave?
Roll
Just curious.
perception.
Better.
17. They talk about a rendezvous off of Drake Shores in Terracona. At least that's all you catch, unless you literally sit there and try and
No.
eavesdrop.
No. All right.
So you continue onward.
Hmm.
You lead your way out and into Augur City, the beautiful capital of Aurelia, rich with industry and all sorts of people. And it seems as though there's just constantly music playing at this point, as people are celebrating the coronation of a new king. There are drinks being served for free at taverns all along the streets. You see that there are vendors offering their wares at discounted prices. A person who looks like they step away from a vendor stall as you are walking steps up to you and presses an enormous, piping hot, just black smoke and pepper sausage into your hands and says,
Oh.
"A celebration for the new king! Enjoy!" And then he continues back to his stall and grabs another one and hands it to Tier.
Wow. Thank you. Oh, hail the new king, something like that. Actually, he didn't.
It's delicious.
Oh,
It
I like
is.
Augur City. Minus the whole. I was mugged the moment I stepped foot in it, but
This is
I mean, twice. I was mugged once and attempted mug twice.
It's because you look too innocent, isn't it?
Look innocent.
Anyway, as you
I have a snake belt.
do you?
Yes, I do. Right
No,
now, he is a snake.
well, no one seemed to notice before until they were bitten. As you
Yes.
are making your way through Augur City, the Arcanium is easy enough to find, and I believe you were given instructions on how to find it.
Yes, she specifically asked, Tabby.
And so, as you approach it, the Arcanium is, as he described, a massive white structure with a domed top and columns surrounding it. It stands out like a jewel in the middle of the gray and brown and red and black of other buildings in the area. It stands tall. What do you do?
Go inside. Have I been to an Arcanium? I'm assuming yes in Silver's Reach.
Would you have, and why?
Well, she is an academic, and her father really encouraged that because it reminded him of his past wife. She probably had an escort if she ever went.
Okay, sure. You've been to an Arcanium before.
Okay.
And so as you enter, it is just as massive as you recall. The ceiling much higher than would make sense. And as you enter the white room that is the main lobby, sits in front of you, and there is a desk with a concierge. This one, a pale green-skinned half-orc with short, cropped black hair. And she looks up at you as you enter, and she says, "Welcome to the Augur City Arcanium. How may I help you?"
Yeah, for a bit of research.
So you intend to use the library?
I do. Am I familiar that this is the general attitude of the people who work at Arcaniums?
Yeah.
That I'm not perturbed in the slightest.
She sets a ledger in front of you and says, "Please record your name and the time you intend to spend within our library."
Time I intend to spend. I'm gonna look at Tier and try to gauge how long he'd be willing to stay.
He looks at you and is like, "Well,
I'm just taking in your dashing good looks." She's gonna put like 2 hours.
okay." You write that down.
Uh-huh.
She shuts the book and she says, "Please enjoy your time." She gestures to the left. An archway opens and you see a vast library beyond.
So I know how the Arcanium is generally laid out, right? Like,
I mean,
does it have genre sections? Is it alphabetized?
it has an organizational system that takes some getting used to. For the most part, the Arcanium is kind of divided into 3 places, but it also, they blend together at times. And they all seem to be very similar to each other, at least on appearance. The first section seems as though, well, it's labeled geopolitical. But what you know from what your own experience is, this is anything that isn't magic and isn't history.
Okay.
The next section says the arcane.
My favorite section.
And then the final section says world lore and important, notable information.
Okay. That's probably where I'm going to be spending most of my time. The first thing I wanted to do was to do some, as Tier recommended when we first met, do some basic background information on Port Rouge, so that if somebody asked me about my, quote, hometown, I would have some idea what I'm talking about.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me
Just
an
so I'm not like, oh
investigation.
yes, of course they're known for their wheat, and like, it's a desert, you know?
Go ahead and roll me an investigation and a D100.
Okay. Investigation is terrible. 14. And a D100. I think this is an important roll. Oh, look at me at my little desk. 22.
With a 22 and a 14, you can't find a book about Port Rouge.
Is it that obscure?
No. You just are lost amongst the various tombs and books, and you literally cannot find it.
Okay, well, if I wasn't going to be able to find something in here, that was the one that I'm the least upset about. I could just maybe find a local or something. I don't know. Yeah,
A
the second
local of
thing...
Port Rouge in Augur
Shut
City.
up. Shut up. Somebody
Okay.
might know better than me. Or like maybe a smaller bookstore that might have general Nosvedania information. Anyways, the next thing I wanted to look up, well, I'll put this in between. I will look up the Demericks and then a Dajdi between Port Rouge and the other thing I wanted to look up.
Okay. So, which are you looking for right now with this roll?
I'll do the Demericks.
An investigation and a D100.
That's a lot better.
Yeah, you find a few books. that seem to mention the Demerics. And what you gather over reading through them with a 26, the Demeric clan was originally a family that was well known for trading with dwarves. Old dwarves from northern Aurelia. They've been around for millennia. The Demeric clan is an old family, one from before the Silence even. And they were well known for being followers of Drunmir before they vanished. And the concern is that that Drunmir was a god who really did not speak to anyone that was not in their favor. Miracles and divine touch from Drunmir was extremely rare. But the Demeric clan, one individual who was a crafter of the Demeric clan, Nolson Demeric, was considered a prophet of Drunmir. So that's what a lot of history touches on, is the Demeric's relation to Drunmir, even though the Demeric family is human. It doesn't seem to have made a difference. And there are many instances of Aasimar being born into the Demeric family.
Do I think that Ys might be an Aasimar?
From what you saw, could be.
Did he have that radiance about him?
He was unnaturally attractive.
I mean, I get it. Anyways, so that's what I get.
Yeah, with a 26, that's what you get.
All right.
An old family with lots of history tied around the Drunmir religion.
Crafty boys. Okay, I will look for the Nadajdi because they piqued my interest.
Okay, roll investigation and a D100. The Nadajdi family, as you find, is another noble family of Aurelia. You knew that already. What you didn't know is that there are many notes, many guard reports of concerned spottings of trade ships in places they shouldn't be, and many times they bore Nadajdi family coat of arms. Maybe not on their actual flag, but on some of the wares that they found aboard these smuggling vessels. It seems as though the Nadajdis, while are a legal and respectable family, they dip their fingers where they shouldn't belong. You know that they are the owners of the Nadajdi fleet, a potent and enormous trading fleet that generally imports and exports between Aurelia, Nosvidania, and Terracona. They do occasionally visit Ceres as well, and you see that there are notifications of Banasite being one of their main trade imports. A powerful magical reagent that you are familiar with.
Of course.
They only recently got into Banasite, however. Before that, they had worked with what looks like some old shady organizations that don't exist anymore.
That don't exist anymore.
Yes.
And no hint as to what they were called or what they did or
the notes in the books
why
that you
they
find
don't.
are actually redacted. You see black marks
Ooh,
over the names of this.
That's super sus. And it's just so this is readily available information, minus the parts that were redacted. And I'm assuming that most people are aware that this family deals in shady business.
They have a history of it. Not necessarily that they still do.
That's true. They have a history of it. And
according to any trial they've had in Augur City's court system, they have all charges have been dropped in every situation.
Convenient. Anything about the most recent generation? Like the ones I just met?
There is a notable comment about Ursula Nadajdi and how within the last 4 years, she suddenly gave up her entire standing as a political ambassador and took up arms as a member of the Shocking Legion, a paladin of Nier.
Huh. That strikes me as a little odd.
Well, that's what happened, according to the
Uh-huh.
book.
Well, sure, it's just like sudden religious revelation. Weird.
I'm afraid her thoughts and decisions are not recorded in
That's
the history
true,
of
but
her
I
family.
want to ask them so many questions. And so she got rid of, well, she renounced her standing, but she still attended the moot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Noted. And onto the meat of my research. I wanted to look more into the War of the Dead, Lucius Toloi, and more specifically, Nolena Talahand, if there's anything available on this
Okay,
person.
so this is you're gonna be
This
need to
Tabernax
be
Library didn't.
you're gonna need to be specific about what you're searching
Okay.
for here.
Well, she's specifically looking for Nolena Talahand. I don't know if she can search that by name, or it'll probably be very hard.
Okay. Roll me investigation. It's going to be at disadvantage, but I do also require a D100.
If I get more specific, will it negate the disadvantage?
No.
Okay, so it's just the topic in general.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Disadvantage, investigation, and what?
A D100.
Got it. 16 isn't a bad low roll, but damn, that 25 would have been nice.
45. Specifically searching for Nolena Talahand. It's not as though you'll find a book that's labeled The History and Adventures of Nolena Talahand.
Yeah.
You spend quite a bit of time looking through notable entities during the War of the Dead, during that period of time, looking for people that worked with or around or near Lucius Toloi. But even finding comments about Lucius Toloi is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like the information is here, but you just don't know where to look.
Can I have Requiem help me look?
Requiem? Your okay, so your belt looks up
I
at
can
you.
make him a bird.
Sure. Looks up at you and says, how can I help?
By helping me look through book titles. We can look twice as much, cover twice as much ground.
I will see what I can do. I will roll an investigation for Requiem.
He's gonna cover the taller shelves as a bird.
Sure.
He's so smart.
He's okay. He rolled a 10.
Oh, Rec. He's doing his best.
So Requiem takes on Raven form and begins to float up at the top of the shelves and skimming through titles. And as he does, Tierre is like standing next to you, watching you search, and he says, "Not having much luck, eh?"
Well, are you any good at tracking books like you are people and things?
No, but this is a library, isn't it?
Yes.
Maybe there's a librarian or someone that helps people find books of that sort.
Lorna pauses in her own search. And she just kind of blinks. And in all of her years of studying, she'd never thought that she would need help in a library, you know? Like, she would always be able to find what she was looking for. And that the staff was just there to put books back on shelves.
Sure.
Just the help, really. So when he says that, she says, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, I suppose. Have I ever seen anyone here who isn't just like another researcher?"
No.
So there's no one else in the Arcanium right now besides me, Tierre, and Requiem.
Correct.
Well, Tierre, I don't know if I'll have much better luck finding someone than what I was already looking for, but you're the tracker. Do you think you could find a librarian for me?
Tier looks around. I can try. I might need some help. It's a big place.
I mean, of course I'll help. I want to find this book as much as anybody. Well, as much as me. I'm the only one who cares. I'll help.
Do you intend to search for a librarian?
Yes.
As soon as that intent crosses your mind, there is a loud, vibrating footstep. And emerging around one of the bookshelves, massive, and standing atop the top of the bookcases, is a enormous black-furred fox with bright red eyes. You require assistance.
Yep. Oh. Yes. Hello.
The enormous fox does not look like it would fit on the ground between the bookshelves. And as it looks down at you, it says, "What are you searching for?"
She tries to regain her composure. Prominent figures during the War of the Dead.
There were many. You will need to be more specific.
She considers saying Lucius Toloi, but heck, if this wolf fox is going to help, will say, Nolena Talahand is the one I'm looking for.
The massive black fox sits on its haunches atop the bookshelves, and you see tiny black magical hands begin to run across the bookshelves, sliding across the tomes. And all of this whole occurrence takes maybe a few moments before sorry, I had to make a couple rolls. 2 tomes are pulled off of the shelves, and they are set on the table before you.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Do I have to put these back?
Yes.
Okay. Kind of like just exchange a look with Tierre, shrug her shoulders, and sit down.
Okay, you sit down and you begin to look through the tomes. Tierre has not taken his eyes off of this enormous fox.
Yeah, I figure, like, briefly in Lorna's mind, she was like, is this how people feel when they meet Requiem for the first time? But he's, like, way bigger. But I think her exposure to Requiem has made her be like, oh, okay, this is weird, but cool.
Roll me a perception check as you begin to look through the books.
Okay. Yeah, pretty good.
The presence of this massive fox, it's not pleasant. You smell sulfur on the air. The hair on the back of your neck is standing up straight. You feel as though you are in the presence of something extremely powerful.
So don't take any of the books. Got it.
With your 20, as you begin to look through the books, the fox is staring at you. as you're doing your research.
Oh, that's totally fine.
I'm
Requiem
sure
just
it is.
dead-eye stares me all the time.
Okay, so you begin to look through the book. Go ahead and roll me an investigation.
Yes. Come on, big money, no whammies. Medium money. Little whammies.
Roll me an Arcana check.
Okay. There we go. That's the big money. I'm so fucking smart.
The first book you find is a record of magical imprints. It is interesting to you because these are the legacies of a spell that is vastly beyond your capability, but it is one that you understand. It is a spell that you've read inklings about. It is the clone spell.
Ah.
Within
Why
this
did he
book,
give me a book about clone?
we're getting there. As you are looking through this book and you see there are various magical magical imprints, like fingerprints. Each clone, every time a clone is created, a magical imprint is created on the spellbook that it was made with. And these pages look as though they have been taken out of spellbooks over histories, over centuries. There are 4 magical imprints, and one of them, the clone is labeled Nolena Talahand.
Uh-huh. As in, a person named Nolena made a clone, or they were the clone?
Nolena Talahand was the clone.
Okay.
You don't
Is
know
there
if
like,
the person who cast the clone was also Nolena Talahand, or if this was an identity they took. You don't know.
well, judging by my understanding of the spell, they are the same person, but I don't know what name they went by.
Yes.
Although my experience with the clone spell does make me believe that there are possible, what's the word? Outliers.
With your Arcana of 27, you are aware, with these imprints that you're looking at, while each imprint is slightly different, they could very well have all been cast by the same person.
Do I have any idea how these receipts basically ended up in this book?
No.
No author.
No. This book doesn't make sense to you. Each page
No.
looks as though it was torn out of a spell book and somehow re-stitched together into this book that you're looking at. And there
And
are
labeled.
hundreds of pages. Some of them are labeled, some of them are not. Nolena Talahand is one of the ones that was labeled, but there are various others that were not. Some of them were clearly inscribed by the same person. Some of them were inscribed by various different peoples. Some of them were inscribed in inks that were definitely not ink.
Oh, right. So it is the spell handwritten by the person.
Yeah.
Like a fingerprint, but with handwriting.
You are pretty certain this spell, this is the imprint that was created when they cast clone.
Just out of morbid curiosity, Lorna will take a piece of parchment from her bag and a quill and turn to the page that was Nolan Talhand's and start pseudo inscribing the beginning of the spell in her own hand to compare the handwriting.
So you are not capable of casting clone.
No, she's just mimicking like, you know how you don't know a foreign language and a foreign alphabet, but you can kind of approximate the shapes?
Well, you can try and match the symbols that you're looking at.
That's what I want to try to do.
Okay. You can go ahead and roll me
Hopefully not a dexterity.
roll me an Arcana check to try and inscribe a spell you don't know how to cast.
Okay. God, I wish I could use that natty 20. Okay, please, natty 20. That was good.
It looks like an unskilled tracing of the spell on the page. It doesn't look like a match because frankly, you are not practiced enough to do the difficult symbols and the way that it almost wavers while you're looking at it. You don't understand how that's happening. This is beyond you.
That's uncomfortable. Do I remember how long ago in my readings would indicate Nolena Talahand had lived? Because I knew Lucius Toloi died at the end of the War of the Dead, which was 100 years ago?
102.
102 years ago. He died then, and Nolena worked with him during the span of his lifetime.
Yes.
But he lived a long time, didn't he?
Yes.
Shit. Okay, so that wouldn't really help me. This is just all the first book, right?
This book is literally just the sigils that you found.
So feeling sick to my stomach. I'll just push the book away, still open to Nolena's page, and I will look at the second one that the fox presented me.
Okay. The second one shows records of a Nolena Talahand being approved and accepted into a prestigious academics circle, a circle of wizards and mages, as it were. Nolena Talahand was clearly a powerful mage, and one that was approved by the casters that hold the academies in Silver's Reach. It's clear that she was of good standing, and she was a potent mage. From what you understand, she had reached the equivalent of maybe 7th level casting by the time that she was accepted into this circle of wizards. According to the dating, it was 5821 that she was approved into the circle.
How long ago was that?
The year is 6071.
200 and some years?
Yeah.
250?
Approximately.
So she was in good standing in Silver's Reach, but joined the Followers of the Star? Is what I'm gathering?
Apparently. For some reason, something may have happened, or something may have changed her mind, or maybe she was a different person.
Oh, shit. Alright. So this is just records of this institute specifically?
Yeah.
And her name is just in it.
Nolena Talahand, as the one that you've intended, shows up as a recorded alumnus of the Wizarding Circles of Ceres.
Okay. With that thought in mind, she would look up. Is the fox still there and looking
Still staring
at her?
right at you.
Cool. She would look at him and say, "Excuse me, could I have another request?
What do you need?
Could you find me any material that might have Selena Cross in it?"
There is a pause. I need to roll. Okay. There is a long pause as this massive black fox looks at you. And then he closes his eyes, which is the first time you've seen that happen. You see that the black hands skim across the bookshelves, and it takes a solid 10 minutes before the fox frowns. And with a quiet growl, you hear, "Stay."
Stay?
Yes.
Oh,
He turns, and his attention finally lifts off of you. And then you notice that he looks to a small box in the corner of the library that you're in. The box is labeled Special Returns. A black hand goes to the box, pulls it open, and it pulls out a small book, a black one that you recognize, and he sets it in front of you. It's
One
the
that I
journal.
recognize. It's her journal.
Yes.
As in, like, it's a copy, or is it is the exact journal I've been carrying with me?
You check for your journal.
Yeah.
It's not there. It's set in front of you.
The fuck did he do? She will look at him and say, "How did you get this?"
You asked for it.
I Can you just get any book that you want from anywhere?
The fox blinks at you.
I don't like that at all.
This is the reliquary of all knowledge possessed by Amaranth.
All knowledge.
Yes.
Uh,
You have permission to access knowledge written by your own hand.
by
And
my
so
own hand.
you can collect it.
I can collect. Sorry, you cut out.
And so you can collect it. And the
So,
fox looks at the journal.
so no one else could ask you for this book.
Not without your permission.
Okay. Thank you for that. She'll put the book back in her bag. I don't even. I remember in my reading that Nolena Tollahand could cast approximately 7th level spells, or was at least at that rank. What level is the clone spell?
8th.
But the time of her enrollment, she managed to gain that level. That doesn't mean she couldn't have gone further outside. Well, this is horrific.
Tier sitting next to you says,
This has all been very weird. I don't mean to question or anything like that, but you look pale.
I don't feel so well. But hold on. Shit. Librarian?
You may call me Hushen.
Ushen.
Hushen.
Ushen, can you show me anything? I don't know the last name. First name Palerna, worked with the Hammerly family.
Let me roll.
The exact tone you've chosen for this fox boy is just enough to not entirely always get picked up by your mic.
Noted.
I like it, but I can't sometimes hear it.
There is a pause as the fox looks along the tombs and bookshelves, the black hands once again darting across them. A book is set in front of you regarding the Hammerleys. Another book is sent in front of you. This one, what language do you speak?
I speak Common, Draconic, Elvish, and Infernal.
You don't know what this one says.
Do I know the linguical origins?
Roll history.
Terrible. 11.
No.
I look at Tier. Do you know what this language is?
Oh, it's Dwarvish.
You could read it.
Yeah.
What does it say?
He looks at it. He looks at you, and he says,
It's an old trade record.
Okay. Can you look through it, please, for the name Palerna?
Yeah, Yeah, one moment.
Okay. And she'll look through the tome she can read.
Okay. What do you already know about Palerna?
Palerna worked for the Hammerleys in an advisor position, and she looked a hell of a lot like me.
Mm-hmm.
This was approximately 50 years ago.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll me an investigation check.
Pretty damn good.
The Hammerleys are a dwarvish family, well known in the town of Shona, which is in northern Aurelia. They are known for trading with Terracona, but they're also known for running a very serious adamantine mine near Shona. But this is not what's important, according to what you see here in this book. The Hammerleys are criminals.
Mhm.
They have been found responsible for a lot of murders. Most of them only came to light within the last couple of years, when divination and a forcing truth spell brought the household leader of the Hammerleys, a Torgan Hammerly, to court, where he admitted to having slain countless opposition who would have gone against the minds that they ran as a family. There was recently a case where, in the town of Shona, a prostitute was slain and was attempted to blame on another family, but it was done by the Hammerleys, and it was discovered by a Marigard contracting team that discovered the horrible murder as they attempted to blame a member of the Brass family, a visiting emissary from Terracona.
Mm-hmm.
That snowballed into the entire Hammerly family being investigated, and their nefarious deeds having been discovered. And so the Hammerly family is no longer a noble family. They have been exiled from Shona, and their adamantine arms has been taken over by the Garuda family.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't seem super important to you, but what you do find is that Palerna, who had worked with the Hammerleys, was responsible for at least 20 murders.
What?
That's
In what
find.
context? Doesn't say. It just says she was a baddie.
It said that she favored the Finger of Death spell.
She was a wizard.
That wasn't commented on, but with your 27 in Arcana earlier, you know that Finger of Death is a necromantic spell, a powerful one, typically at 6th or 7th level.
What happened to her?
Doesn't say.
This was recent?
Within the
Or
last 50 years.
this was, but their crimes didn't come to light until recently.
Yeah, but she, according to
But
this...
the evidence came that this woman, approximately 50 years ago, was up to this shit with them.
Yes.
Do they have a last name for her?
Yeah, the assistant, Palerna Listimus.
Can you spell that?
Yeah.
Bruh, what the fuck is going on? I spelled it right in my notes. 50 years ago. Wizard. Murderer. Oh, okay. So as I like read that and I just kind of wide-eyed look up at Tier, how far has he made? Any progress?
Rolling.
Mm-hmm.
He looks at you and he says, "So what is it I'm specifically looking for here?"
The name? Palerna? Listmas.
He like shuffles a page and says,
She was, It looks like she worked for them for maybe 7 years, at least according
Okay.
to her employment records. And then, it says here that she was traded an employment deal.
he looks confused as he's reading it, and he
like, he says, something's not making a whole lot of sense here.
What do you mean?
He, like, shows you the book, and there's a word that's not written in Dwarvish.
What does it say? Can I read it?
Can you read Celestial?
Fuck. No, I cannot.
I will say you recognize Celestial.
Great. What was the fox's name again?
Hushen.
Hushen. Hushen.
Do you say it like that?
No. I look up and I'm assuming he's just looking at me.
Yes.
Celestial's a common dictionary.
The fox just kind of tilts his head, and then a black hand picks up a book from the other side of the room, and it drifts over.
This is like I've done more research for this session than I ever had in college.
I mean...
All right, she cracks that bad bitch open. She's gonna try to find the common translation for that word.
Roll investigation.
Think about a library. Oh my god.
It just takes you a while. Like,
Okay.
It's a dictionary. It just takes you a while.
How badly can I fuck up a
It takes you,
dictionary?
like 15 minutes to finally find. It's
I think her hands are shaking as with all of his information that's coming, so all the pages are sticking together.
Yeah. There are 2 words here in Celestial. The first word is seventh.
Mm-hmm.
The second word is trellis.
Uh-huh. I know what that is.
Okay.
So I looked at Tierra and I say she was traded to the 7th trellis.
What was that?
A group of people in Saris who get stuff done, and not usually by moral means. Which tracks with her record of murder and so on and so forth. So she was traded? That's a weird way to put it. Is that exactly what it says?
Yep. It says right here. Torden. Traded.
Okay, so, but like, maybe that's like a literal translation, but it's actually...
Well,
It's
it
like-
might mean that they were trading work contracts. These are dwarves we're talking about here. You know, it's not... It's... you can't think of it like trade is like property.
Sure, it's just, does it say who she was traded with?
He looks back at the page. No. At least it doesn't list the name. It just says, the hammer. So, I don't know what that means.
The hammer?
Yep.
Like Hammer Lee's?
No, it's spelled different. It's literally like a tool, the hammer.
Okay, if I had to take a guess, I would assume that that's a code name for someone or something.
Probably. Unless it's literally a hammer.
I don't think that's right. Fuck me. That happened 50 years ago. Now she's thinking, and I'm 18. Which is about when Selena died. Do I remember around, like, when my father was raising me and telling me stories about my mother? Did he ever mention how old she was when she passed away?
No.
Probably avoided that. When I was having that nightmare, and I'm pretty sure I met Selena, how old did she look?
Well, she
Half
was-
elves are
I
deceptive.
was gonna say, firstly, she's an elf.
That doesn't really help me.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah. The timeline is plausible
Yeah.
for Palerna to have become Selena. Oh my god. Okay, wait a minute. So she's gonna pull the first book back, the one with the clone imprints.
Mhm.
Is Palerna Listmus in there?
Roll an investigation.
Does there seem to be order or groupings in this book, or is it just like page, new page, new page?
There's no order to it.
Okay. Who the
There it
fuck
seems
put
like
this book
maybe there
together?
is a slightly chronological order
Mhm.
because some of the pages in the back seem really old.
Okay, okay.
With a
Well,
15,
knowing that, I would I would know Nalina was approximately 250 years ago.
yeah,
So I would be closer to the front for 50 years ago.
you do find Palerna Listmus in this book.
Oh my God. I think Lorna is looking progressively more pale and more manic the more she's reading. That's probably just a weird thing for Tyr to be experiencing.
At this
But
point, Tyr seems like he's not in good humor. It seems like he's watching someone discover something terrifying and he is concerned.
oh wow, that's exactly what's happening.
But he doesn't know what to do about it, so he's basically just waiting to see what is happening next.
Um, and I was correct in that Palerna is closer to the front of the book.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go carefully from Palerna toward the front, page by page, thinking I might find Solana in some capacity.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me. So, you're trying to match the imprint.
Yeah. Yes.
Roll me Arcana.
Okay.
It's going to be a hard roll.
Not great. So I know some of them don't have names.
Some of them do not have names. Just using your eyes and your mind, you don't think you're going to be able to get this. You might have to think of something else. Because you're trying to seal this imprint in your mind and you just can't.
Mm-hmm.
It's too complicated. It's too different. There's too many subtle nuances to the scroll work. It's like trying to memorize a pattern of DNA.
Each uniquely individual, but so complex that the naked eye couldn't tell.
Yes.
Fuck. Try something else. Okay, how about this? Is there clearly indentation where the lettering is scrawled on the parchment?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, my nose is running. I would take my own piece of paper or parchment and put it over Palerna's and do like a sort of graphite sketching to get up as much of a perfect replication as I can to compare to the pages.
Okay. Yeah. I'll allow that. You basically do like a charcoal scratching of this
Uh-huh.
page. Sure, you do that.
And now I'm gonna, since I don't have to memorize every intricate detail, I'm gonna hold it. First, I'm gonna hold it next to Nalina's.
They're the same.
Uh-huh. Okay. And then I'm gonna do what I was doing before and hold it up to each one until
Okay,
I
this
see
is
if I can
going to
find a
take some
match.
time.
That's fine.
Roll me an investigation.
Hold on, my D&D Beyond crashed. Did yours too?
No.
Okay, it's just me. Well, I know my investigation's a +7, so I'll roll a d20 on Foundry. It's 16.
1 second here. A 16?
Mm-hmm.
It takes you half an hour. As you are going through each and every single page, it is so tedious. It is so difficult to match some of these up. Like, you swear it's the identical one, except there's a single stroke different. Or you swear it's exactly the same, except for some of the harshness on the lines is a little off. After 10 more pages of looking through, find another match.
How close to the front is it?
2 pages back.
Oh shit.
The name says Atlantis Majere.
Atlantis? Can you spell that last name? And is Atlantis spelled like the city?
Yes.
Okay. Majere.
A Tridonian name.
So that's sooner than Palerna. Palerna was 50 years ago. The next name is Atlantis Majere. And none of the pages, but you said 2 pages, so the other 2 pages to the front of the book aren't a match.
Right.
So the timeline I'm getting is Nalina, Palerna, Atlantis, Solana question mark, and then me. Does that make logical sense? Because Lorna's smarter than I am.
Have Lorna roll a history check.
I fucking D&D Beyond is still not loading. I think I
Plus
still
7.
yeah, okay. I'll roll a D20. That's pretty good. 17.
Lorna doesn't know what Solana's real name is.
Sure. That's the name her father told her. And if that's true, and if Solana got married, her last name would have been different anyways. But this implies that Solana's real name is Atlantis Majere. Holy fuck. Can I look through? I'll pull back out the journal that the fox fucking rabbit out of a hat in.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see if a clone spell imprint is in it.
In the journal?
Mm-hmm.
Roll investigation.
Because
You're pretty
that
familiar with this journal.
if I find it, that would imply that this is mine. And it just wasn't compiled. Fucking D&D Beyond. Yeah, boy. 25.
Yes,
It's a match.
and it is a match.
I think Lorna would just shut the journal and put her head down on the table because the room is kind of spinning. And she just looks balmy and clammy and white.
Tierre is silent next to you, but you feel he gently puts a hand on your shoulder.
She has no idea what's up.
He has no idea what to do. You hear in your head, Lorna, you are in turmoil.
Yeah. You're right, buddy.
You must collect yourself.
Uh-huh. And she'll start taking deep breaths.
Your souls are in combat with each other. Please.
What does that mean? Like, that doesn't help. So she's getting more panicked now.
You are wrestling with something you must accept.
What's that?
I do not know.
Okay.
Roll me a charisma saving throw.
Oh my god. I can't. Because D&D Beyond's character app isn't working. Oh, when was the last time you updated this? On Foundry.
Let me check. I don't think it's been that long.
I'm only a level 2, so it couldn't have changed. Okay, I'll just do it on here.
Okay.
Normal, right? Not disadvantage, not advantage?
Not disadvantage, just a straight charisma saving throw. You feel this, what was a feeling when Requiem brought it to your attention. It was like a cold, creeping sensation climbing up your chest, and you attributed it just to fear. But as soon as he says that and you focus and you settle in, that cold sensation just is shut away, like flushing water down a drain, and you steel yourself. And while you still might be nervous and afraid and shuddering, whatever that was is gone.
Uh-huh. To Requiem, she'll think, has that happened before? Have you seen that happen before?
Only once while you were asleep.
What do you mean?
You were
Was that-
asleep and...
Was that the night I had a nightmare?
Yes.
Okay. Shit. She's gonna sit back up, still sweaty and pale, but she looks a little more like she's got a bit more grasp of herself now. And she'll look at Hoshen. Hushen, god damn it. Hushen, and she will say, anything on Atlantis Majer.
The giant fox tilts its head and looks at you, quirking it. You have been here for 5 hours.
Oh no.
Do you intend to stay longer?
Yes.
The fox dips its head, and black hands begin to dart across the shelves.
Portier's like, oh, this is both boring and terrifying somehow.
I don't think he's bored. 3 books are dropped in front of you on the desk.
Fuck me. Okay. Titles on books or plain covers?
2 of them are plain covers. One of them is wedding registries from Candinos. Try
Oh
it.
my god. That's the one she's going for first.
Okay.
Mhm.
Roll investigation.
Oh my god. Okay, where is it? There it is. Really?
So it takes you like a good 45 minutes of skimming back and forth in this book.
Uh-huh.
And you
All
find,
the letters are bleeding together.
dating July 1st, 6041, the wedding between Remus and Atlantis Majer.
As in, Remus Majer was his name?
Yes.
Oh my god. How long ago was 6041? What year is it?
It's 6071. So it was 30 years ago.
30 years ago. It's almost a 30-year anniversary. What month is it?
December.
It's past the 30-year anniversary. Just barely, but... Oh, shit. Candinos?
Yes.
Oh my god, is that where I'm from? Oh, I guess I'm from a lot of places. I spelled Candinos way wrong, but that's fine. So... Lorna is going to assume that that was Balin and Selena Cross's real names, but they had to change
Charisma
it.
saving throw, please.
Ah, shit. Saves. Charisma. Normal. 15.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, you
You-
didn't pick up?
I said okay. You quell the maybe small bout of wave of nausea
Oh, great.
that was climbing. And you're okay. Well, you're as
okay.
okay as you can be.
Uh-huh. Okay, and so I got that. Push that aside and look at the 2 unlabeled books.
The first unlabeled book is not in a handwriting you recognize. It's a much more almost crass, as if someone who had learned to write not at the proper hands of tutors, but as they could when they were growing older, at whatever, maybe by people who could just teach them. And the letters are bold, as if written by a heavy hand. Remind me again what languages you speak?
My stupid D&D Beyonders working. Common, Infernal, Draconic, and Elvish.
This is written in Elvish.
Okay.
As you are looking through this book, these are the reports of a guard. These are the comments and reports of a guard local to Condinos. Where this comes important is when he begins staking out the Megere compound.
Oh my god.
You see reports of strange emissions of energy coming from over the courtyard's fences. The walls that keep this noble compound to itself are shadowed by green light emitting from one of the windows. And the guard notes that this is typically the misdoings of necromancers. And so he's begun to stake out, and it seems as though he stakes out for several weeks, watching the comings and goings of the Megere household. And for the most part, he comments that during the day, nothing unusual seems to be happening, except for every Wednesday, the Megere household invites someone over, and they don't seem to leave again.
Mm-hmm.
The first 2 times, he couldn't pin anything on it, as they may have just left while he was being relieved or during one of the other guards' watches. However, after 4 instances, he has finally received a warrant to search.
Did he?
That's the end of the book.
Uh-huh. Okay, the second book.
The second book... Roll me an investigation.
Really?
The second book is harder to read.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much anyone's accounts or anything like that. What it looks like is mostly a list of names. A long list of names. Some of them remark about money owed. Some of them remark about locations that they have intended to visit or be returned to. Atlantis Megere comes up in the list as not deceased, but as misplaced. And it says Remus Megere in debt.
Okay. Is there a date when this happened?
No.
She was
However,
raped.
there is another name in this book that you spot. And it strikes you as interesting, as it says Lilith Noish in debt.
Mm. Oh, shit. Is it safe to assume that this book might have some relation to the Master?
Are you asking the DM?
Yeah, well, does that seem like a reasonable conclusion?
Yes.
Book. What? So, how close is that to Lilith Noish?
What do you mean?
Like, in proximity on paper.
It's a few pages ahead. There are lots of names in this book.
Can I find either Lorna Halloweth or Dahlia Cross?
No.
So am I assuming... Okay, player thinks that Remus Megere being in debt is Balin Cross, obviously, but maybe she herself, Lorna, was written down as Atlantis Megere, or did this happen before?
Roll me in a straight intelligence check.
Okay.
You're going to try and put yourself
Uh-huh.
in the Master's shoes.
Uh-huh.
The Master knows what happened.
She does.
And it says Atlantis is misplaced.
That's me. Oh my god. Okay. I think Lorna is gonna just shut the book. Be like, does she know that this book is here? That'll be like the first thought that comes to her head. But then she'll look at Tier and she'll be like, well, I got all I came here for.
Tier is looking at you. He has sat down, and he's looking at you, and he says, "Are you sure?"
Oh yeah, if I read any more, I think I would. I don't know what I would do. So we're gonna put these back. So this is the game plan here. We're gonna put these back. We're gonna go back to Cabby's. And I am going to have a lot to drink. And it's gonna be great.
As you do that, as you say that, you suddenly feel there is a dark presence over your shoulders, and when you turn and look, Hoshen is between you and the shelves and the door.
Uh-huh. Why?
There is a cost for knowledge.
Yes. What is it?
You owe me a debt.
Oh, okay. What do I owe you?
You see that there is red fire in this fox's eyes, and as he looks at you,
Are you laughing?
because my phone started to ring.
Oh.
Sorry. As the fox is watching you and looking at you, he says,
You have peeked into the knowledge of your previous lives. You know who you are, and while your soul might not remember it, I see it. And over the years you have indebted quite a toll from me.
What do I owe you?
400 souls.
What?
it is at that moment where we are going to stop today's session.
What? I thought you were gonna say gold pieces.
No.
Are you crazy? Where am I gonna get 400 souls in this economy?
Thank you all for joining us for this session of From Nothing Lorna Story. It was a little bit of a shorter one. However, I think we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, I'm having a crisis over here.
I know you are.
Ah!
Anyway.
What? Oh, my D&D beyond's working out.
Oh, good.
Great.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you for playing with me, Pen.
I'm in terror.
We will handle the rest of that next session. So, thank you again. I hope you had a good time despite the terror. And I'm going to stop the recording now.